this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for another bit of a play around. You might have seen my recent video where we created this little canvas here, and I had kind of covered the other one with a napkin ready to do and just didn't get time to do it. So I'm back now to do this one, and I did say that we would do them both completely different so that, you know, you've got two completely different looks. So I'm going to pop this one to one side. And what I've pulled along for this one is, and these are kind of not the most obvious choice, I have to say, to go with this napkin, but I fancied using these because these are some die cut pieces from Stamperia, which I've had for quite a while, and mainly I've had them, well, partly because I, you know, hoard things, as you know, but also because I had not realised when I ordered these, they're actually really thick chipboard. So the die cuts, you know, that you get normally are, you know, finished paper, I guess, but these are really thick cardboard. So I would struggle to use these in quite a few projects, to be honest. So I thought this might be a brilliant way to use some because, of course, you know, on the canvas boards, it doesn't matter if they're really thick. In fact, it's going to create a really fun kind of almost like 3D effect. So yeah, that's why I've bought these along. As I say, colour wise, I can't help but think this is a crazy choice, and yeah, definitely not the obvious choice at all, but hopefully we're going to make it work. We'll just have to wait and see, really. So I've had a kind of bit of a quick look through before coming on. I mean, there's loads of these that are super pretty, and you know, as you know, I am going to obviously struggle to use some because they're so nice. I don't want to use them, but I think probably for a focal point for this, I would probably either prefer to use this lady or this lady. I did actually quite like this one, but I feel it's a little bit too, you know, huge on this canvas, and feel that, you know, there wouldn't really be room for anything much else. So I think I'm going to go for this one here, which she looks quite pretty, doesn't she? And, you know, hopefully then we'll be able to kind of have some other things as well. Whereas otherwise, I just, you know, I think it might be just too crammed and not be able to get anything else in. So you get lots of little sentiments and things like that. So I'm just going to sort of have a look and see whether we might want to layer up any of those. So, and obviously we've got lots of these gorgeous flowers that, you know, obviously coordinate with the pieces. So we can use those to, you know, create some other pretty elements as well. So hopefully, like I say, not the obvious choice, not what I was expecting myself to choose, but hopefully we're going to make some really, really nice pieces anyway. So I've got those there. Now, I did also print off my umbrellas in the neutral colours because I know that I had said yesterday, or sorry, not yesterday. I know that I'd said, for me it's yesterday because I filmed it yesterday, but for you guys, I suspect they're not going to go up, you know, next to each other. But I'd said that I had the neutrals and I really, you know, needed to print some off. So I'm just going to cut out this one, which is a very pale pink. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to want to use this or not. I maybe won't. But I just thought that I would bring it along and just see whether it would work or not. So let's just grab that. Yeah, I mean, it might go, it might look strange, so I'll have to kind of see. But I thought it would be fun to bring it along and give it a try. Hello, gorgeous. Oh, my daughter was up here just now and now she's disappeared. Yeah, she's disappeared. She's obviously gone back downstairs, I think. Okay. So just trim that around. Like that. I mean, honestly, these napkins are really great backgrounds, I think, for anything, really. Oh, hello, you are still up here. I just said I think you must have gone back downstairs. I couldn't see you.
I was like trying to see my scare.
Yeah, you did scare me because I honestly thought you'd gone. Couldn't see you at all. She was hiding behind my craft cart. And it's obviously so piled high, I couldn't really see at all through it to see her there on the floor. Okay. Just trim that down. Oops. And now just trim out that end bit. Okay, right. So that's my neutral umbrella. Like I say, I don't know whether this is going to look good or not, but you know, maybe look quite cute. That's kind of quite sweet there. Don't know whether it blends in a bit too much. We'll have to kind of see. Now, in the previous video, I did use the stencil here. And actually, I did kind of wish that I hadn't. But having said that, having wished that I hadn't used it last time, I'm going to use it again this time. So why wouldn't we? So I'm just going to pull in a stencil. Hold on. Okay, so I've pulled in the stencil. It's the same one that I used last time, but I'm going to use a different one from here. Now, again, I'm wondering whether I might be able to use my Perfect Pearls for this. So I haven't ever tried that before. So again, I think I had best actually try these out on some book page just to kind of see whether this is likely to work or not. It maybe won't. Or it maybe would work, but would be kind of too pale to see. I'm not sure. So just have a look. Right, so can you see, if I just bring it up, I mean, it's kind of worked, but it is very, very, very delicate. So, you know, to say it's worked is probably debatable to some people, to be honest. So I think what I might do is, shall we go with texture paste, or shall I bring in, I'm just having a quick think what's going to be best on here. Because, you know, it may be quite nice to bring in some of the kind of pinky colours. But having said that, I don't want to necessarily kind of swamp the whole background in pink. So perhaps I shouldn't have the stencil. Just have a look. But the stencil does add a bit of something, doesn't it? So, right, let me have another go now with something else. So, got my blendy tools and things. Actually, I decided last time, I think, that the brushes worked much better on a stencil. Okay, I've got my brush here. So, and I've got a few different inks here of different shades. So I just need to decide. Oh, it's a tough one. I'm kind of thinking this Dusty Concord. It may be way too purple. Who knows? Let's have a look. I'll just go in there. And the other thing is, of course, just because it works on here, I just wonder how well it's going to show up on the napkin. Well, we won't know unless we try, will we? So let's just give it a go. Fingers crossed here, fingers crossed. So I'm going to put it about here. And we're just going to go in like that. So I hope everyone's having a good day. Maybe you're doing some crafting. It's freezing here again. I haven't been outside because I'm filming this, you know, we're still in the lockdown. And yeah, so I've had no need to go outside. It's only, I don't know, about 10 o'clock, I think. But yeah, it feels very chilly even on the inside. So it must be freezing outside. Right, okay, as I thought, it's really not particularly showing up at all. So that's a bit of a shame, to be honest, because I had hoped, obviously, that it was going to look really pretty. So, I mean, to be honest, yeah, well, it shows up, I guess, a little bit. So, yeah, we'll kind of have to just go with that, I think. Okay, so I'm going to have her on there. Now, do I want anything else kind of in the background with her? Got this kind of bright purpley sort of sign. I quite like her like that. Now, what did I do with my umbrella? Here we go. So I'm just going to ink my umbrella up a little bit. I mean, funny enough, I know that I did the neutrals, but it's now a bit too neutral. Okay. So Well, that's quite nice, isn't it? Okay. Now I'm thinking, shall I ink her a little bit around just on the edges? So let me just put in my blendy tool. Perhaps I'll do her in, got this one which is Seedless Preserves. Let's do her in that, and she will be hopefully, you know, really pretty. So just go around like that a bit. I mean, these also, they have quite a glossy sheen, so I'm able to just smudge these inks in a little bit, which again, you know, I'm not convinced whether I like that or not, to be honest. I mean, I can see that, you know, it would have its place and its time where it's handy, but, you know, not sure. Okay. I feel like I do want something else, but I haven't quite decided what. So, I mean, don't forget, we're also going to layer up some of these flowers. So, actually, let's just ink up those a little bit. Have a look. That's another one. Okay, that's quite pretty, isn't it? Yeah, I quite like that. And do we want to kind of, I don't know, let's see if we want to have a nice sentiment somewhere. Capture the moment. No, not loving that. Dream a little dream, or believe in your dreams, I think. Let's just, again, just chop this one down. Okie dokie. I'm going to just do it like yesterday, or, you know, like the last video anyway. Just snipped it in so that it's got, oops, it's on individual lines like that. Yeah, I quite like that. So that looks quite pretty, doesn't it? So I might just stick the umbrella down. I just wondered whether I need to break it up at all in the background with anything else. Oh, it's so tricky, I can't really think. Got this tape measure, kind of stamped piece. Wonder whether we could just break it up with that a bit. What do you think? Or is that just really peculiar on there? I have got some pink stamped pieces here somewhere as well, so let me just have a look, see if I can find those. Takes a lot of thinking about, doesn't it, doing these canvases? You know, you kind of think you know where you're going with them, and then actually they end up throwing you. I've got this window. Let's just have a look at that. So this one's a stamped window. I think, if I remember rightly, this is a Fabrica stamp. And it's one that I bought quite recently. Absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? What a beautiful style window. I think it's like a Georgian type window. Really pretty, isn't it? So let's just go like that. And then around. Okie dokie. And just chop that down the side. Just thought the pink might look a bit better than this, you know, this colour, which is, you know, effectively just coffee dyed colour. Yeah, I quite like that, I think. And would I prefer it over there? I'm going to put these words over here on the white. Otherwise they're just going to blend into that background and I just won't even see them. Because what we could do is kind of have the flowers as if they're over the window. No, I think it needed to be kind of behind her, strangely enough. So, right, I'm going to put that down there. So I'm just going to do this before I have any other chances to change my mind. So let me just wipe my glue nozzle off. So that's nice and clean to use. And we're just going to stick that down. Just bring her in so as I can check where it needs to be. Okay, so about there. Looks good. So we just dab that down. Okay. Whoops. Kind of thinking actually I should have perhaps emboss glazed that, but my emboss glaze is antique linen, or I have vintage photo, so it may have gone a little bit kind of yellowy, you know, which perhaps wouldn't be quite so good. And perhaps I'll just very delicately vintage photo it. So I'm not even dipping my blendy tool into the ink, but just using whatever's left on there. Morning, sweetie. Okay. My son's at home doing his college work from home today. Okay, and then I'm just going to have the umbrella in the background like that. And to be honest, I'm going to just go in with the vintage photo a bit with that as well. Okay, like that. Okay, let's glue this one down. Yeah, it was actually raining earlier, but it seems to have stopped. Although it's still looking pretty drab, so I suspect that we're in for more rain later. Just dabbing that glue off rather than kind of make such a mess over my canvas. If you watched my last video, oh, it was a disaster. I ended up dropping some hot glue. Well, ended up sort of burning my finger, and then in my panic to get the piece of paper off of my finger, it then dropped onto the canvas, and oh, it was almost a complete disaster, but I did manage to pick off the piece that it had dropped onto, thankfully. But yeah, it could have been really, really, really disastrous, to be honest. So I was lucky, very, very lucky. Okay, so I quite like how that looks, and yeah, I'm going to have some flowers kind of just coming up. Maybe that one there, actually, maybe even this one. Does that look really strange hanging? Because it's very obviously upside down, isn't it? Yeah, maybe it's a bit too obvious. Let me see if there's some others of those. It's a bit pale. Oh, I didn't even see that one. Look, she's pretty, isn't she? Oh, that might be all of those. Might be all of those flowers, you know. Oh no, here's another one. Perhaps I'll have that one. So again, just going to ink that up a little bit more. I think that's better, like that. Yeah. Okay, so do I want to now ink this corner and things before I stick this down? I think I probably do. So I'm going to just move these bits off to the side, keep them all together. Now, do I go for being really brave? Oh, let's just go for it. Come on. Right, so not being that brave because it's not really coming off much, but a little bit. Okay. And just go in with this a little bit like that. Okie dokie. And then around the edge piece a little bit. Obviously, I don't need to worry too much here because the lady's going to go on there and just effectively cover that all up anyway, so don't need to worry too much. So I've got that sort of dusty concord there. Now I also had that seedless preserves. That seems really dark, so I might just kind of have a little bit of that just in one or two places rather than all the way around. Yeah, because it very quickly kind of gets in there, doesn't it? Right, let me just dab off my blendy tool. Try and get that seedless preserve off of there. And I'm then going to just go in with my Victorian Velvet. And in the Distress Oxide, this is really, you know, really quite pale and subtle. So it's a good one. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's just place her back now. Oops. We were having that up there, weren't we? And this one down here. So yeah, I quite like how that looks. So, and again, I'm going to kind of hot glue her down, but not press her down too much. So hopefully she kind of is, you know, slightly lifted a little bit. Now, I'm just wondering whether I want any of my numbers or anything in the background, because I've got a couple of pink ones. Okay, I quite like that. Or do we think we're just like overdosing on pink now? I mean, it is quite pink, it's got to be said. It's looking pretty pink. Might prefer this paler one. Okay, right. So I might just ink that up with a bit of the vintage photo. And again, not kind of going too mad. I've not even dipped it in the ink still. Just using what's kind of left, but yeah, I think I'll kind of do that. So I'm just going to stick that one down. Okie dokie. I mean, obviously these are not the biggest canvases. I think I did say in the previous video, but these are only, I think they were 5x7. So, I mean, they're not very big canvases. So, you know, you've got to kind of bear that in mind a little bit. Right, I'm just going to now soften this down slightly with the vintage photo to take some of that kind of bright pink out. Like that. Okay. Yeah, I quite like that. I mean, probably what would be really awesome is if I were able to do some sort of shading. I'm not clever enough to do that. Certainly it's not something that I have tried ever, so I wouldn't really like to try and do that today. But you know, I don't think I've got the know-how or the right tools, to be honest. So yeah, we're just going to kind of leave her like that, I think. So let's just pop her on. So like I say, I'm going to do her with the hot glue, and then I'm not going to kind of press her on too much, so that hopefully she's going to keep that slightly 3D kind of raised effect. So there's plenty on there. Okay. Like that. Oops. Just getting that little bit of glue that's seeping out. Okay, then I'm going to have this flower here. Now I want to obviously have my little sentiment on here as well. So we'll have this believe in your dreams. Like that. And yeah, then I'd quite like to finish it off, I think, with some like mulberry paper flowers or something. So let's just pop that down there. Okay, and let's just now pop this down. What's that one? Oops. Oh, come on. Oops. Just get my wipe to dab up the excess glue. And then we're going to have dreams down there as well. Yeah, I think this is quite a good use for those, you know, chipboard shapes, because like I say, I kind of feel like I would struggle to use them a bit in a journal. So I think this is quite an ideal way to use them. Right, and then we're going to have this flower here. Now, I did bring along some of my kind of mulberry paper flowers, so I'm just going to pull out a couple of these and see whether any might look good. So bear with me while I just get a few out. I've got a few different kind of colour ones here. I must have some kind of purple ones somewhere, which would look good. I just thought that was quite a nice one for a contrast. That's one that I've actually dyed myself with some dilutions. Let's just have a look. Okay. Just see whether I've got any others that, well, who knows, might be okay, might not be. So I'm just pulling in anything at all that I think vaguely, you know, may fit colour-wise. So I think that's probably it. Let me just double check. That's far too yellow. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. Right, okay, let's have a look. We're going to now have kind of her like buried in the garden, is the kind of look that I would quite like to have. Like she's just, you know, yeah, buried in the garden. Well, not buried, I don't mean buried. That suddenly I thought sounded really lovely, and you know, as Anne of Green Gables, having watched that recently, as she would have said, romantical. But I suddenly thought, oh, that sounds horrible. I don't mean buried. I don't mean buried, I mean surrounded by flowers in the garden. Perhaps that's a better way to describe it. So yeah, quite like how that looks. What do we think? Do we need any others? Take this one down again. That's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah, so how do I want to glue these down? So I'm going to start with this one. Whenever I use these, I just do hot glue them. I find that, you know, normally holds them just brilliantly. So I'm just going to do that now. And I like this little purple one just here. So just off at the edge. Okie dokie. And then I'm just going to have this one here to the side. Oops, I didn't glue this one down yet, so I'll have to do that in a second. Okay. And then, yeah, kind of coming up like that, sort of behind her. Looks pretty. Okie dokie. And then I'm just going to check that I want it like this in this corner. I mean, I could have everything, I guess, in this corner. Maybe that's a bit more modern to have it all on one side. What do you think? I feel like it needs the kind of balance there, but I'm not so sure. You know, whether actually perhaps the more modern kind of thing to do would be to have it all on one side. Is that the wrong colour flower? Let's just double check. I'm not sure either of these colours are quite right out of the purples that I've got. Might just see if I've got another pink in that jar. Can't see one so far. I have got another one of the kind of sticky up type ones. Let's have a look. Got another one of those. Oops. Oh, that's different. Look. Yeah, right, okay. Let's just try this one. Oops. Do we think that this blue one looks a bit funny? Is that kind of not quite right? Let's just cut down these for a moment. Oh, this is annoying, isn't it? I can't quite get the right ones. I'm just going to have a look and see whether I've got some more mulberry flowers laying around, because I have got another jar, slightly different ones. Hold on. Right, I've pulled out a whole bunch more, so we'll give some of these ones a try and see if any of these look any better. So hold on, just cut their stems off. So I've got this ginormous purple one. I think that's too big. Got this. Was this the one that I did have? I've lost track now of which ones I did and which ones I didn't. Okay. So you're probably all sat there thinking, oh, what's wrong with her? They're the ones that she had anyway. But yeah, I've lost track of which ones I did and which ones I didn't. Got this one. That one's quite pretty, I think. So. Although I actually think maybe I did need this one, because maybe it needed something to kind of just break it up slightly. Yeah, I think perhaps it did. Let's just try this little pink one. Oh no, that's not a good one. This way round. Oh, I can't get these ones just right. The other ones seem to, you know, this bunch seemed to come together really well and just exactly as I wanted. And yeah, these ones I'm kind of struggling slightly more to get them to look right. What do we think to those? I think this was quite nice for breaking it up. What do you think? Let's just keep taking it out, put it back. Because without that there, it's a bit too blendy, I think. Got that one. Got this one, which is quite small. Or what about if we have them on that side? I've done a U-turn, and actually I do prefer them on this side now. I mean, there is that monstrous purple one, but do we think that's just a little bit too huge? Or is it quite pretty? Just have a look. It's quite high, that one, to be honest. It's sticking up quite a lot, which you can't perhaps see on camera, but yeah, in the flesh I feel like it's a bit too big, a bit too high, which is a shame. I wish I had another one of these, which annoyingly I probably have somewhere and I just can't see it. Let me just go off and check again. Hold on. Well, that's annoying. I couldn't find another one, so I'm just going to go for these because otherwise I'm just going to be here like literally the whole day, chopping and changing, chopping and changing. So I'm just going to go for these, and yeah. I think this one is quite nice because it does just bring in a bit of contrast and it just picks up some of the green in the leaves. So yeah. Let's check that I don't want it more like this. No. Okay. Oops, what did I do now with the purple one? There we go. So just put that tiny purple one on. I'm so sorry if it's got really dark suddenly. It's obviously about to chuck it down with rain, and it's just kind of clouded over and gone really, really dark. So I do apologise. I hope that the vision's still, you know, good enough to be able to see. Oops, no, I've just knocked something off the desk. I hope it wasn't one of the flowers I was about to use. Okay. And I'm, yeah, just going to have this one here. Just kind of nestled in there. Okie dokie. That looks super pretty. Okay, so the only other thing that I want to add really, I think, is I've got these metal corners, and I thought I'm just going to put those in either corner like that. And then I've got that flower, which I will glue that on afterwards. So I'm just going to glue these on. Now I have to be honest and say I normally use just hot glue to glue my corners down. But lots of people have recommended the E6000 actually, so I am going to buy some of that and give that a try. I mean, I find the hot glue works fine. You know, I haven't ever had a problem with it, but you know, maybe the E6000 is even better. So, okay, just get my glue threads off. And then I'm just going to have this flower here, and obviously I've stuck the flower on afterwards just so it doesn't get hooked on the corner, because on this one I'd already stuck the flower on, so now I'm just going to have to kind of struggle a little bit to get my corner stuck down, but you know, that's fine. Okay, so again I'm just going to hot glue this down. Okay, like that. Looking super pretty now. And then just this one I'm going to put up here. So here it's going to have to kind of like, yeah, kind of go over that flower slightly, but hopefully that's going to be fine. So I just need to press it down a little bit. Otherwise it's not going to want to be sticking. Okay, let me just pick it up. Okay. Yeah, that looks good now. And then I think that's more or less done. The only other thing that I may just do is just edge it around in a bit of black. You know, so the whole thing kind of just stands out a little bit. And I'm just going to just use my black stays on, because to me that's just kind of the quickest, easiest way to do that. So just going to go right the way like that. Not necessarily going to do it all over, but just one or two places. So I might come down this edge slightly there. And just a bit here. And yeah, I think that's probably it. I might just put a bit up here. Do I want any more black? Maybe just a bit here. I mean, this is, you know, it doesn't really show, to be honest, but... yeah, okay. So I quite like how that looks. I might just get my black soot now. Only because I've got this like bit here where it didn't kind of catch. So I'm just going to do that with my finger. Just so it's kind of like along there. Okay. Right, I think we're nearly done. I don't think it really needs anything else. Let me just quickly have a look. I mean, it's quite full, isn't it? Yeah, I think I'm going to kind of leave it there really. So let's move all the bits out of the way and we'll just pull the other one in. Okay, so that's the two canvases that we've done. So I mean, hopefully you'll agree they look pretty different. But starting with obviously, you know, the same napkin and things. So yeah, I really hope that you like them. I had a really lovely time making them. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me and see you guys again soon. Thanks then. Bye.